Okay, Pam Bondi just got confirmed as the head of the Department of Justice, that is the Attorney General for Trump. She only got one Democrat vote. Can you guess who it is? Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. Let's start with Laura Ingraham.
Trump's nominee for Attorney General Pam Bondi was just confirmed by a vote of 54 to 46. Lone Democrat to vote for Bondi was Senator Fetterman of Pennsylvania. It's frankly despicable that more Democrats didn't vote for her. She's eminently qualified for this job, which once again shows you that this is about politics with the minority party right now.
Whereas you compare to Biden's picks, through all of his cabinet picks up through this week of February 2021, only two Republicans voted against all of them. There's Senator Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. There were a dozen Democrats, including ranking members and powerful Democrats who pretend to ask serious questions of nominees, who have voted against every single one.
And we've covered all those questions. They were all just lecturing. They were never inquiring, looking for information about Pam Bondi.
They don't care about him having a cabinet. Right now, they're talking about holding up nominations to the State Department so that money can go to foreign countries. We are dealing with an extremely obstructionist party.
And we always think of, the midterms are going to be bloodletting for Republicans because the party in power often loses seats in the midterms. But given how things are going, given how Doge and Musk and Vance and the whole crew are finding so much waste, more fraud, undoubtedly they'll find abuse. Couldn't this actually be a real opening for Republicans with this team in place to build on this momentum?
I'm going to go even farther than that. I think the Democrat Party's done, and done for good. My theory is that they've only been buttressed and held up by a corrupt media, and that media, that entire infrastructure, that entire program has fallen. It has crumbled and collapsed. So who is going to carry the Democrat message and brainwash the masses, given the media has been kicked in the crotch? Not just kicked in the crotch morally, like, oh, you're bad, but the actual structure of media is gone, like broadcast networks, the normal strength of ABC, NBC, CBS. The strength, we hit a crucible kind of where the internet came into its news age under X. I think 2022, when Elon Musk bought X, it changed the strength of the Democrat Party's ability to get their message out. Now it had to compete in the market of open ideas, and Democrat ideas can't compete. Transing kids, biological men playing in biological women's sports, their cover-up of the southern border, their cover-up of the president's senility, the cover-up of inflation. They lost the whole structure of that microphone, that giant brainwashing device that tells everyone woke up and just said, we've been lied to. And I don't think the Democrats get that back in 2 years. Do you?
And then the pressure that brought Donald Trump back to office has been growing. The dissatisfaction amongst the American people with what is going on in Washington, D.C. has been growing. So I don't think that backlash is coming like the conventional wisdom says.
You guys have all heard about the pendulum swing. They go, oh, it's a pendulum. There's nothing absolute about a pendulum that demands things swing right and then things swing left. I know it may seem that way because it seems like we go back and forth, but there's nothing by necessity that says, I just don't see it as sticking. I do see the party that is most aligned with truth has the most confidence that their ideas will last because only the truth, capital T, lasts. Facts last. Lies get exposed over time. You can even believe a lie for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, but at some point that lie has a problem in that it goes up against reality. And so you want to be in the party that is most aligned with the truth. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans are like the gospel or anything, but compared to the Democrats, there's scientific empiricism, empirical data. And so we have to always be humble and careful on our side to not go forward in hubris and just go, we've got this. We've got this forever. MAGA brand is go. If MAGA starts believing lies, and there are lies, if MAGA becomes a lying political party the way that Democrats and woke has been lying, it will fall. Maybe not this generation, maybe not next generation, but it will go down. So we should always be renewing ourselves, recommitting ourselves to the truth, learning and adapting, and where we flush out a lie and where we find a lie, to call it out. That's why it's so important for me to be able to criticize our own side. It's for our own good. The side that can't call out their own lies is going to die. And that's the Democrat Party. 100% of what they believe are lies, unfortunately.
I think President Trump gets more bold as time goes on, and that's going to piss off all the right people. But I think it's just going to keep this juggernaut going. That's how I see it.
Here's that article at CNN that I told you about with Pam Bondi. Let's get to this one because the fun's about to begin, guys. Attorney General Pam Bondi plans review of cases brought by New York prosecutors against Trump. Who are the New York? There she is getting sworn in by the great Justice Clarence Thomas. Attorney General Pam Bondi is expected to order a review of the cases brought against President Donald Trump, including those undertaken by prosecutors in New York who successfully defeated him in court. That's one way of that's CNN. That's an opinion. They successfully defeated him in a court full of Democrats with a Democrat jury, a Democrat culture, and a Democrat DA, Democrat prosecutors. They defeated him in court. Sort of. Sworn in at the White House on Wednesday, Bondi intends to issue a series of memos aimed at curbing the so-called weaponization of the Justice Department. A source familiar with her plans told CNN. She will order the review of criminal and civil cases against Trump, including the 2 federal cases brought by the Biden Justice Department. Now, criminal, that could be the E. Jean Carroll case, and issue a warning to employees that serving their own personal politics as opposed to the Trump administration would be punished. The memos, first reported by Fox News, are part of planned efforts to investigate and undo legal moves from the Biden administration, setting the tone for Bondi's term as the top law enforcement official of the country. In one memo, Bondi will establish a, quote, weaponization working group, unquote, to review law enforcement actions, that's important, enacted under the Biden administration for any examples of politicized justice. I just want to do a little clarification here. This is just a review. She has promised not to weaponize the government against the Democrats, and I don't want her to weaponize it against them. The law enforcement actions, yes, that's oversight. She needs to look, and then if they find something, then you go in and start breaking furniture. I don't think our government wants to move forward in history and in time, leaving those court cases untouched by a Department of Justice, by an Attorney General. Because if something did go wrong, and I believe we all know it did, if something did go illegal and she can actually prove it, hardcore, and it's clear, and everyone knows what happened, including looking at Juan Merchan, Judge Engeron, all those cases. If she finds something, you want that reversed by your government. I don't care if they go to jail. I want it called out and put in the official records of the U.S. government that this happened under Biden's watch as a warning to all future administrations. Don't do this. That review will cover cases brought by former special counsel Jack Smith over Trump's handling of classified documents and 2020 election interference, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's hush money case that led to a conviction. That is probably the worst one. And a case from New York Attorney General Letitia James in which she won a $454 million civil fraud judgment against Trump. Those are the biggest fake cases. I mean, Jack Smith, under classified documents, he could at least say, well, Trump and Biden did the same bad thing and I didn't go after Biden. Fine, he could say they both did the same bad thing. But Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's hush money case that led to the conviction, that is an invented felony. It was invented. And all that removing of the statute of limitations and to create a felony, and the case of New York Attorney General Letitia James, where Trump was never found guilty of an actual crime. He overestimated his value, and all the bankers loved being in business with him, so no one was harmed. In another memo, Bondi will warn career Justice Department officials that they cannot substitute their political beliefs for the arguments that the Trump administration puts forward in court. And if they try, they will be subject to disciplinary action or termination. That makes me happy. So she's setting out a standard. Don't bring your politics into it. And guys, those of us on the right, I'm not just asking for Pam Bondi to go in and be Republican only defend Republicans. You want justice. You want the truth so that we can confidently say, you did it right. You're what the founders intended. So that's what I mean by it's not political revenge. It is a desire for the truth because, like I said at the beginning, a lie will fall and the truth will stand forever. So we wanted to find out what truth actually happened in those court cases. They have to be reviewed because they have not been reviewed by an unbiased person yet. Quote, the discretion afforded Justice Department attorneys with respect to those responsibilities does not include latitude to substitute their personal political views or judgments for those that prevailed in the election. The memo reads, Bondi's first day comes amid a firestorm over firings of agents and prosecutors who have worked on cases related to Trump on January 6th, the U.S. Capitol riot. Yes. She was sworn in by conservative Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, with Trump looking on, quote, we're going to make America great again, Bondi said in a brief remarks of the White House. Trump complimented his pick for Attorney General, saying in part that she will be totally impartial. Did you hear that? We want her to be totally impartial. I don't want her to be a Republican. I don't want her to be a Democrat. I want her to find the truth. For the first time in 4 years, we have an attorney general that is going to be totally impartial. Quote, I know I'm supposed to say she's going to be totally impartial with respect to Democrats, and I think she will be as impartial as a person can be. That's all I want. Trump says, I'm not sure if there's a possibility of totally, but she's going to be as total as you can get, Trump said. But she's going to be fair, and she'll lead the Department of Justice in crushing violent crime, demolishing the gangs, which are all over the place. A representative for New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg declined to comment because he's packing his bags and probably moving to Guam. A spokesperson for the New York Attorney General's office did not have an immediate comment. Trump had previously challenged the legitimacy of both cases in court, in another Democrat court with Democrat appointments for appeals, and numerous judges rejected his arguments and declined to throw them out. CNN, all you have to do is say who appointed those judges. CNN. You'd be a great I'm trying to save you here. You'd be a great rag instead of a yellow journalist, just piece of toilet paper. All you have to do is say, in those courts, in liberal districts, by judges appointed by Obama, Biden, Clinton, just say it. And we will instantly believe your article more and go, wow, they're really doing their job. They're hitting both sides, but they pretend like that has nothing to do with it. Trump went to a normal appeals court that 92% of the people donated to Joe Biden. Really? That's normal? Okay. Thanks, CNN. Toilet paper. While a source familiar with Trump administration strategy said there are no plans for mass firings at the FBI, agents remain concerned the FBI handed over information about more than 5,000 employees who worked on the January 6th investigations after acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove demanded the information in a memo last week with the subject of terminations. Now, here's what we found out. There were in this category, 13,000 FBI agents. Out of 13,000 of these employees in this section, 5,000 of them were working on the J6 cases. It was like 39% of the FBI agents in that field in DC were working on J6. It was the largest witch hunt in FBI history. The numbers are staggering. That's why you have to fire 5,000. They haven't fired 5,000 of them. They should. The source defended efforts to get additional information about officials who worked on January 6th cases as part of an effort to comply with Trump's executive order directing an interview of the Justice Department's actions over the last 4 years in an attempt to end the, quote, weaponization of government. Quote, the messaging has not been as clear as it could have been on the personnel matters. The person said, Bondi's first moves in office will be under scrutiny. Again, I only care about the scrutiny under Republicans because we already know what Democrats are going to say. Remember, Pam Bondi only got 1 vote from Fetterman. In fact, I'll offer Fetterman this. I only care about what Fetterman thinks as far as Democrats go with Pam Bondi. I'd love to hear what he thinks of how she conducts things, because at least he voted for her. So he showed non-political, being impartisan. I will respect what he has to say about her. So she'll be under scrutiny. The former Florida State Attorney General and staunch Trump ally. See, they'll say her staunch Trump ally. They won't talk about it with the judges. Tell us about the judges, CNN. Pam Bondi's a staunch Trump ally. Swore to lawmakers during her confirmation hearing last month that she would protect the department from political motivations, but the Trump administration has touted Bondi's ability to reshape the Justice Department to fit the president's vision. Quote, every case will be prosecuted based on the facts and the law that's applied in good faith, period. Politics have got to be taken out of the system, unquote. Bondi said the Senate Judiciary Committee, quote, this department has been weaponized for years and years and years, and it has to stop. Now, that is true. Bondi is also expected to rescind memos issued under the Biden administration, including the 2023 field office memo that seemed to suggest that FBI was targeting, quote, radical traditional Catholics. You guys hear me bring that up all the time. That is the greatest breach of our government that will not stop the free practice of religion. Like, that is psycho that was allowed. Sources told CNN the memo, which then Attorney General Merrick Garland called appalling when he was caught, was almost immediately pulled, but it was never officially rescinded. She will also rescind the 2021 memo from Garland that addressed the, quote, disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence levied at school, sources said. That's when the FBI went after PTA members while BLM was blowing up Wendy's. The memo sparked months of backlash and false claims that Garland believed parents, look at CNN going, sparked months of backlash and false claims. They're already spinning it. This is false claims that Garland believed parents who are concerned about education were domestic terrorists, though a federal judge ultimately disagreed with that characterization. A Democrat federal judge. Again, CNN, just say it. I'm a barely literate comic book artist and I'm better at news than you. Okay, Bondi also plans to establish a new task force focused on Hamas. October 7th, 2023 attack of Israel. A task force, she said, will bring criminal charges against Hamas leadership and investigate anti-Semitism in the United States. Good. That will go straight to Harvard, go straight to our college campuses, our elite Ivy League college campuses, go straight in there. And the people who intimidated students and blocked students, especially people who have student visas from anti-Semitic countries, kick them out. Some of Bondi's directives follow through in aggressive law enforcement and prosecutorial policies that Trump also pushed for his first term, including the reinvigorating death penalty cases and aggressively targeting drug cartels. She will also create guidelines that mimicked an earlier directive from Bove, telling the department to pause all federal funding for sanctuary cities, good, and evaluate all funding agreements with NGOs, good, those sham NGOs, non-government organizations that provide support to migrants, illegal aliens, and terrorists who are in the United States illegally. The interim Justice Department leadership has already instructed leaders of the FBI to provide information about all current and former Bureau employees who at any time worked on January 6th investigations. And top federal prosecutor in D.C. launched an investigation into prosecutors who brought obstruction charges against some rioters that were ultimately tossed because of the Supreme Court decision last summer. The Senate confirmed Bondi on Tuesday, 54-50, with John Fetterman of Pennsylvania joining Republicans in support of Bondi. How do you explain that? John Fetterman's the only one that cares. This is a great article. Pam Bondi's getting Merrick Garland, Alvin Bragg, and Jack Smith for sure. That's a good start to start investigating. Just go look and guess what she's going to find. Not she's going to invent, she's going to find. Let me know in the comments below what you think she'll find. I'm Doug in exile.